Hello, everyone. My name is David Ramazani, and today I'm going to talk about Islam. You might wonder, why Islam? Well, I'm originally from Iran. I'm Iranian American. I'm Persian. So, as you know, my original country, Iran, has Islamic Republic. And we are at the beginning of another revolution against the Islamic Republic. So, because of the nature of Islamic Republic, that brings us to this point that maybe that's a good cause to talk about Islam. You might wonder, what about Islam? We want to talk about the origins of Islam, how this religion was originated, and how this religion impacted Persia. So that's why I'm going to talk about Islam. Now, having that said, I would like to share with you a diagram, and so it makes it a little easier for me to discuss this in further detail. Okay. Let me explain what am I showing you in this diagram. At the very top on the left, this is the map. This is the map of Silk Road. Why Silk Road? You may ask. Because in this map, as you see, there are two parts into Silk Road. One, the network of Silk Roads, which are on the land. And that's coming from all the way from north of China, north of India, going through south of Tajikistan and Afghanistan, and then it comes to northeast of Iran or Persia, and then it goes south of Caspian Sea, and then goes to the northwest of Iran, and all the way on the north of Iraq, and it splits. One goes to the west of Anatolia. This is the map 1400 years ago, and it enters into the Constantinople. That was the capital of Roman Empire. And then the other leg of the Silk Road goes to the Petra. And by the way, Petra is mentioned by Herodotus twice in his history book. So the reason I'm showing this map, because there's another road which is in the ocean, maritime, and that comes from the southwest of China and southwest of India, and then it goes all the way south of Persian Gulf, and then it splits. One goes to inside Persian Gulf, and the other one goes all the way south of Arabian Peninsula, and then it enters into Red Sea. And from Red Sea goes all the way north and goes through Suez Canal and then it enters into the Mediterranean Sea and goes to the Constantinople on the west end of Anatolia. And that's the Roman Empire. So there are two ways to get into Roman Empire. One via land, and the other one is via Indian Ocean, and then Red Sea and Suez Canal, and then enter into the southeast of Mediterranean Sea, and then go up north to the Roman Empire. Now, why is it important? Because back then, there were two major powers in that region. One was the Roman Empire, the other one was the Persian Empire. And these two were the two superpowers and constantly challenging each other. They were competing with each other. There were a lot of competition between these two superpowers. So when there is war between these two nations, obviously the idea was to control the Silk Road. Whoever gains control of the Silk Road, then they can dominate the other side. Like if the Sassanid Empire, the Persian Empire, the second Persian Empire, if they gain the control of the Silk Road, both the one on the land as well as the one in the ocean, then they can choke. They can put sanctions on Roman Empire. That's why the Silk Road became so essential to the competition between two major superpowers, Persian Empire and Roman Empire. So then that explains this map. The other thing I want to explain, on the left side, I have the Persian Empire, the Sassanid Empire, which is this part I'm showing you. This whole thing is the on the left, on my left, is the Persian Empire. Then on my right, in here, I'm showing you the Roman Empire, the two sides. So this is the Roman Empire. Obviously, the Persians are Zoroastrians, and the Roman Empire, they're Christians. And I want to emphasize they are the Chalcedonian Christians, because there's another group, the non-Chalcedonian Christians, that I would explain to you later, right in the middle. And they are the Christian Arabs. They are in the Middle East, or Arab Christians. So these are what I am showing to you. Now, in terms of the timeline, what I decided to do, I picked 250 years before, when Muhammad claims he's the messenger of Allah. So 250 years before that. And what I'm trying to explain is the chain of events culminating in Islam. So there's going to be chain of events which takes place until when Muhammad claims that he's the messenger of Allah. So we want to see how these events took place, which eventually led up to creation or formation of Islam. The number one point is that we have to understand nothing gets created out of nothing. Everything is being created out of something. Even the religions, they are being created out of another religion. Like Christianity, it was created out of Judaism. Okay, so Islam also must have been created from a previous religion or a previous faith or a previous belief that existed before Islam, and Islam was born out of that particular religion. So the question is, what is it? What religion or faith is Islam born out of? So I'm going to go step by step through this and explain how these events took place. Okay, let's start from top. As I said, I'm only showing you 250 years prior to the prophecy of Muhammad. What we have in that region, in today's Middle East, 1400 years before, or 1600 years before. On the east, we had the Persian Empire. On the west, we had the Roman Empire. And in the middle, between the two empires, are the Arabic countries. And the Arabs who are living on the north are mostly Christians. But the Arabs who are living in the south, like the Arabian Peninsula, like today's Saudi Arabia, those are mostly non-Christians. Some of them are idol worshippers. Some of them are non-believers. Some of them have some local religions before Islam. So they're not Christians, they're not Zoroastrians, they are different than the two major religions of that era. So as I said, the Arab Christians, they're different from the Roman Christians. The Roman Christians, who are also called the Chalcedonian Christians, they believe in Trinity. And most of the Arab Christians, they are monotheist. What that means they believe Jesus Christ was the prophet or the messenger of God. They don't agree with the Chalcedonian Christians that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. That's the disagreement between the non-Chalcedonian Christians, who happen to be the Arab Christians, and the Roman Christians, who are called also the Chalcedonian Christians. So that's the major difference between the two sides of this Christianity. Now, the Persians, the Sassanid Empire, they support the Arab Christians, the non-Chalcedonian Christians. They support that. And maybe the reason they support is they realize that there is a difference, there is a schism, there is a disagreement between the two sides of Christianity, and they support the Arab Christians in order to fight against the Roman empires. That's the main motivation, main reason. And so the major tribe that they are non-Chalcedonian Christians are called the Lakhmid. This is the area I'm showing in the map, the Lakhmid Christians. The Lakhmid Christians, they lived in today's southern Iraq. They lived in south of Iraq, and on the west side of Persian Gulf, and on the west side of Persian Empire. And they were fully supported by the Sassanid Empire. So that's where they were located, on today's southern Iraq. And they were there for 302 years, starting from 300 all the way to 602. So they were residing on this part. And now the Iranians, the Persians, created a church. It was called Persian Church. And the Lakhmid Christians, they would use this church. They were members of the Persian Church. And now, these are they call them Arianism. Arius was one of the original founding fathers, church fathers, who disagreed with the Chalcedonian Christians, and he was exiled to Palestine. So the Lakhmid Christians, Arabs, we can say they were the followers of Arius. And now, let me also explain what happened at the year 602. The Sassanid king, the Sassanid monarch, decided to annex this part into Persian Empire, because the Sassanid could no longer trust the Lakhmid Christians. Now the question is, if that part, that territory, was annexed by the Persians, where did these Arabs go? Did they disappear? They must have gone somewhere. So that's one big question, that these were the monotheist Christians, and we want to know, where did they end up going? and if they had anything to do with the creation of Islam. It's just one possibility. Now, the other possibility is that this map that I'm showing you, this is the map of Petra, which is located on south of Jordan. Now, on the year 363, there was a major earthquake, a very major earthquake on Petra. And before earthquake, Petra was very prosperous. It was a cosmopolitan city. They had good economy. They had good agriculture. So it was relatively advanced city. And so, except when the earthquake took place, people started leaving Petra. They left. Even the Roman empires, they built several churches in there, trying to encourage the people to stay there. But they couldn't, because that city, Petra, was abandoned. People left all their houses, their belongings. They migrated to somewhere else. So this earthquake took place 246 years before Muhammad claimed that he's the messenger of Allah. So we have a time period of 246 years. And then we have another time period for the Lakhmid Arabs, which was 8 years before Muhammad's prophecy. So we have an 8-year time period before Muhammad became messenger, and we have 246 years before the earthquake in Petra. Now we want to talk a little bit about Mecca. Mecca was an unknown place. It doesn't have any agricultural value, the land in Mecca. It didn't have any other value. It didn't offer, there was no prosperity, no economy, very backward place, very rigid, harsh climate. Nothing was pleasant to be able to live there. Mecca only had one advantage. Mecca, 1400 years ago, before Islam, had only one advantage. And that advantage was the proximity with the Red Sea. This is the Red Sea I'm showing in here. Mecca is somewhere over here. And the distance between Mecca and the Red Sea is 40 miles. It's about 70 kilometers, less than 70 kilometers. 40-mile distance between Mecca on the east and the Red Sea on the west. See how close it is. So now, as I explained, why the Red Sea was important, it was because of the shipping, the trade, that it would take goods, merchandise, and anything that they would bring from India, China, like silk coming from China, and they would take it to the Roman Empire. That's why Red Sea was so valuable, so important. And the Romans wanted to keep Red Sea, the flow of shipping, safe and secure. The Persians wanted to dominate the Red Sea, and when there is a war, they wanted to choke the Romans. They wanted to put a stop on the shipping, taking the goods and merchandise to the Roman Empire. I mean, that's the motivation, that they want to be able to have a control over the Red Sea, both empires. Now, because there is interest from the Persian side as well as from the Roman on the Red Sea, and all the shipping, the flow of the ships carrying all these goods and merchandise, there's a tight competition between the Persians and the Romans in controlling the Red Sea and in controlling the flow of shipping. Because if they could control, they can put economic sanctions on the Romans, and Romans are trying to keep that flow open and are trying to prevent the Persians to be able to control the Red Sea. So that's why Red Sea becomes so important. And because Mecca is so close to Red Sea, then Mecca becomes important. So you see, a city or a place which had no tourism value, which there was no prosperity, which had no economic value, which had no political value, had no value at all. But it would become valuable only because it was so close to the Red Sea. That's what made Mecca valuable 1400 years ago. So if that's the case, and I already explained that where did the people who used to live in Petra, in such a very prosperous city, where did they go after the earthquake? They must have gone somewhere. And people living in Petra, they were Christians. Some of them were Arab Christians, Christian Arabs. So they would speak Arabic. They were not Roman Christians, although Petra was colonized. Petra was part of the Roman colony. The Romans colonized Petra. It was part of their colony. And but after the earthquake, these Arab Christians, some of them migrated and they went south toward Mecca, and some of them migrated somewhere else because Petra became ghost town, and no one were willing to stay there to live there anymore. They were all gone. And so these were some of the events that, or chain of events that took place before Muhammad became messenger of Allah on the year 610. He claimed that he is the messenger of Allah on the year 610. So now, so we got two groups, the black myth Christians as well as the Christians from Petra, that they have migrated to the neighboring countries or neighboring cities. So they have gone somewhere. And now we want to focus on Muhammad, and during the time when he claims that he's the messenger of Allah. First of all, in Quran, 442 times it says Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Now, if you look at Avesta, which is the Zoroastrian Bible, you only see there are 2 times mentioned about messenger. In Bible, we have 110 times, but in Quran, it's 442 times, which is huge compared to the other scriptures. And so that is one important item. The other one is the now, as I explained, the Arianism, or the followers of Arius, they believed that Jesus Christ was the messenger of God. But this is what the Muslims believe also. Muslims believe that Jesus Christ was the messenger of God. They totally disagree that Jesus was the Son of God. That's the major disagreement. So this aligns Muhammad and his followers, Muslims, with the followers of Arius. They are in alignment. They are in agreement. Although they are 2 different religions, but this is the main common denominator. This is what is common between these 2 religions. So you can tell there is argument, there is debate between these 2 groups of Christians, the followers of Arius and the Chalcedonian Christians. They constantly challenging each other. They arguing that one side saying that Jesus Christ is the messenger of God. The other side is arguing that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. So this debate, very intense debate, is going on for many years. And now, out of this debate, out of these dialogues, out of these conversations, a new religion is born, which is called Islam. Why? Because, as I indicated at the beginning of my conversation, that every religion, faith, belief, even ideology is born out of another religion. is born out of something that existed prior to the new religion. So now, to solve this puzzle is that, as I indicated, the Christians who left Petra and the Lakhmit Christians who left southern Iraq, they had this idea, and once they migrated to other parts of Arabian Peninsula, maybe some of them they settled in Mecca, some of them settled on other cities, other towns along the Red Sea, but they took this Christianity, this idea that Jesus Christ is the messenger of God, and then when they settled in new places, out of that, Islam was born. So they were instrumental in development, in creation of Islam. Their thoughts, ideas, the concept that they believed in, and they carried that with them, it gave birth to a new religion called Islam. It is the combination of ideas, thoughts, and concepts that they carried with them into the new place, including Mecca, which gave birth to a new religion called Islam. It has to be. Especially in Quran, the word book is mentioned 282 times. Okay? The word book in Avesta, Zoroastrian Bible, is mentioned 55 times. In Bible, 129 times. But in Quran, more than the other two books, is mentioned 282 times. Here's the question. Muslims, all Muslims, believe that Muhammad was unlettered, illiterate. He couldn't read, he couldn't write. Now, you might wonder why a person who cannot read or write writes about book 282 times in his book. I mean, that's part of the puzzle. For someone who is illiterate to talk about a book, if you cannot read, how could you talk about a book and reference that book 282 times in Quran? You see the puzzle? And so these are some of the signs that we can find it. We can find it in Quran. Some of the indications telling us how the connection, it tells us what is the connection between Quran and Bible, or what is the connection between Islam and the non-Chalcedonian Christianity, or what is the connection between Islam and the Lakhmit Arab Christians. There must be a connection. We're trying to establish the connection between these entities. And so I'm trying to set the stage. I'm trying to set the stage to show how these events, these developments would lead up to creation or the birth of Islam. Or another word, where would Muhammad get his ideas? From where? Where would he get his ideas from? Now, let's look at the motivation. There are three motivations that would be instrumental, would be helpful in formation of Islam. One is a person called Salman the Persian. Okay. Salman the Persian is someone from Persia, and he goes to, he's from Persia, so he travels from Persia, he goes to Syria, and then he becomes Christians, and then from Syria, he travels to Mecca and meets Muhammad, and he becomes one of Muhammad's major companions. One of the major contribution from the Salman the Persian is in the Battle of Trench on the year 627. So it was a 27-day long defense battle. And so he ordered to build trench around the city to block the enemy, the other tribes who were fighting Muhammad. So that was Salman's idea. We know that. So he was very influential. He was smart, and he helped Muhammad a lot. And so that's, now the question is, did Salman acted on his own, or was he supported by someone else? In other words, was he just a puppet? And there is a puppet master somewhere? Or he was acting on his own? Which one is it? So there are two possibilities. One is this I'm showing you at the top left, this green box. Now, what am I showing you in here? This is the 7 houses, 7 Persian aristocrat or aristocratic houses that existed. And these houses, before Sassanid Empire, before Sassanid dynasty, they were working with the Parthian Empire. The system during the Parthian Empire was a federal system or federative system. Now, the Parthians would cooperate with these 7 houses of the noblemen, noble families, or aristocrats. And together, the Parthian and these 7 houses, they run the country. They manage Persian, they manage the Iranian Empire. Parthians were not Persian. They were Iranians, but they were not Persian. Sasanian, they were Persians. Achaemenid, they were Persians. So we have, before Islam in Iran, we have two Persian empires and one Parthian empire. And Parthians, they were not Persians, but they were Iranian, which is another branch. There's multiple branches in Iranian civilization. And one of them is Parthian. They came from northeast of Iran. So now, when Sassanid came and they took over Persia, they took over Iran, and they defeated the Parthian Empire. As I said, Parthians, they were very decentralized. Sassanid Empire, they were the opposite. They were very centralized. They preferred central system, or they preferred centralized system, and they had a centralized army. As a result, they no longer had any need for these 7 houses, for these 7 families. So they were pushed into the margins. Now you can imagine, how would these 7 aristocrats would feel about Sassanid Empire? They would be against them. One indication, as we see from the Mehran house of Mehran, we have Bahram Chubin, which he fought against Khosrow Parviz and took over Iraq, today's Iraq. And he was ruling in Iraq for 1 year, and then Khosrow Parviz was able to kick him out and take back Iraq. So you can see that they were holding grudges against the Sassanid Empire. So they would do anything to cause trouble or to cause any kind of distraction or make the Sassanids weak. So that's why it is possible that one of these houses, these aristocrats, that they sent Salman the Persian, or they were helping him, they were guiding Salman, and so that Salman would find someone among the Arabs to rise up against the Sassanid monarchs or Sassanid Empire. And so that could be one motivation, that one of these families is helping Salman the Persian. And another motivation we have is over here. There is a civil war after the death of Khosrow Parviz. We have a civil war, and it goes for 4 years. This is toward the end of Sassanid dynasty, and it is very possible that these houses, they were also involved in this civil war. And before the civil war, right after Khosrow Parviz dies, we have a major plague. We have a major plague. It's called Shiruyeh plague, and just like COVID-19, and it killed more than 100,000 people in one city, Ctesiphon, which was the capital of the Sassanid Empire. That many people were killed between the year 627 and 628. So you see how much damage, how much, all of this has been taking toll on the Sassanid Empire. The plague, the civil war, it weakens the Sassanid dynasty, the Sassanid king. They have become weak. There is one more event that I need to mention, and that's there is a war that for the first time, Khosrow Parviz decided there were some rebel groups. There were some rebellion among some of the Arab tribes. One of them is called Zolgar or Zolkar. It's said that happened on 604, between 604 to 611. Remember, 610, Muhammad becomes messenger of Allah. So either around the same time Muhammad claims his prophecy, or maybe a couple years before that. So it is very close that this battle took place between the Khosrow Parviz, who was the Sassanid king of kings, and this tribal group. And the Iranian, the Persian king, they lost the battle. This happened for the first time. This was unprecedented. This never happened before. Okay. Now, what happened is that for the first time, usually the Sassanid, they never directly fight with the Arab tribes. They usually have proxies. They would use some of the Arab tribes as a proxy, and they let the Arabs do the fighting for the Sassanids. So Sassanids never fought until then. Until then, they never fought directly with any of the Arabs. They always used their proxies to fight other Arab rebellions, Arab rebels, anytime that they attacked the Iranian towns and cities, the border towns. So, but this time Khosrow Parviz decided to fight directly with this tribe, and he lost. Why did he lose? Because he was in the war with the Roman Empire. So he couldn't allocate enough or sufficient resources, military force, army to that war. So his personnel, his military lost in that battle. Now, psychologically, this was important because it raised the Arabs' self-esteem. It improved their ego. It was good for the Arab self-confidence. They gained so much self-confidence in this victorious battle that they had against the Persians. Now, it is around this time when Muhammad decides to claim that he's the messenger of Allah. So you see how these chain of events, they all come together in culminating Islam. This is the circumstances. This is the situation. We try to put every small pieces of puzzle together and to see how this is how we provide context. We provide historical context that this is how everything comes together in order to give birth to a new religion. See? And that's why I had to pick a 250-year period of history prior to Muhammad's prophecy, and build this up step by step until to come to the day where Muhammad claims he is the messenger of Allah. This is a work in progress, and I would talk more about this in future. But in today, I just wanted to set the stage and provide some preliminary information that when in future I talk more about this, then you have a better visibility, better idea what I'm talking about or what I'm trying to accomplish. So that's for today. I think this is enough. And maybe I should mention also that since I said Muhammad was messenger of Allah, the word messenger, this concept comes from Greek mythology. Hermes was a messenger, and so he would carry the messages from Zeus to other gods. So he was in between these gods, carrying message from one god to another god in Greek mythology. And then for the first time in the book of Daniel, we see that this concept of messenger is carried over to Torah, to Jewish Bible. And he's called Gabriel. And Gabriel. And then from there, we have in Gospel. So the concept, revelation, you cannot find that in Avesta, because Zoroastrians don't believe in revelation. But it's in the Bible 18 times, and it's in Quran 43 times. Okay? And Gabriel is not in Avesta, but you find it in the Bible 4 times, and Gabriel is in Quran 3 times. So I think this is enough for today, and I would continue this discussion in future. Thanks, everyone. Please like and subscribe my my channel, and I would end today's discussion. So I will see you on the next presentation.